So are we going to have a Republican primary season that is defined by these same fights again?
I think it'll be a huge factor in the primary. Look, I think that the business community is basically following the national consensus on these kinds of issues, which has unmistakably shifted towards the left here in the last few decades. But the challenge is that a significant chunk of the Republican nominating electorate is still culturally conservative. And so you've got a very confused candidate class or elected class in the Republican Party. And you saw it on display this week, not just among the governors like Pence and Hutchinson, but among the candidates too. They just don't quite know what to say.
Well, Jeb Bush, to that point, Jeb Bush came out first and said, I agree with Mike Pence, good job. And then he said a couple of days later, when the backlash started to brew across the country, well, he probably could have done this in a more consensus-oriented way. Was that a misstep on his part?
Well, look, I think he could not be to Mike Pence's right, and that's how it was turning out to be if he had made those comments that he did in Silicon Valley. So he had to say something. But now he's in sort of this tough spot where he pleases nobody because the right wing is unhappy with him, and obviously folks in the middle or on the left are skeptical too. What's been striking to me about this is that the Christian conservatives, John, they really feel cornered, even persecuted, because not just do they feel under duress from the left, but from their putative allies in the business community. I talked to one leader in that community who said, look, the fact is that these leaders around the country apparently feel like they have zero to fear except Walmart itself. That's a remarkable comment.
I think one of the really interesting things about the position that Bush finds himself in right now is he has made this stand. I am going to run, and I'm going to stand by my positions on immigration and on Common Core, even if they frustrate and anger the base of our party.
Lose the primary to win the general, as he puts it.
But you know, you have to win the primary if you want to be president. And so I wonder if that limits the amount of other opportunities where he can move away from the base. Does he have to be so cautious
you're already carrying
keeping
with
the base
rocks,
if you're already opposed on immigration and Common Core?
But the one guy who has doubled down and said, governors, don't back down. Don't accept this pressure from the left is Ted Cruz, who also launches the first ad of the campaign season today, and again, making a direct play for evangelicals.
God's blessing has been on America from the very beginning of this nation. Over and over again, when we faced impossible odds, the American people rose to the challenge. This is our fight, and that is why I'm running for President of the United States.
I mean, no secret what he's doing there, and we'll see whether we have every candidate gets their phase. But since he announced a little more than a week ago, he's moved up. Second place in the ABC Washington Post poll, Bush 20%, Cruz 13%, Scott Walker 12%. So this attention and this planting the flag on the right, so far, showing some results.
Ted Cruz is going to pull every one of these candidates right this cycle. That is going to be his role, and he's going to hold firm. We've seen this in his Senate career. When he picks a topic, he's going to stay in that spot the entire time and make sure everybody else feels uncomfortable and sort of has to edge toward him. Not too much, because I don't think they want to end up where he is. But that's going to be his role. He's that magnet.
And as you watch it play out, he's unapologetically making his play for the evangelicals. Rand Paul gets in this week. He has a sort of an interesting mix of a coalition, and he's tried to expand the Republican coalition, but he has a bit of his dad's libertarian base. He tries in the evangelical community. So Marco Rubio gets in a little bit after that. I guess is this third gear for the Republican race now that we're getting official?
Well, third or fourth or fifth, given everything that we've already seen. Yes, and you know, we've talked a lot over the last few months of the different lanes that people are trying to occupy, and the clearest, obviously, is Ted Cruz. He knows where his base is. He believes that that is still a route to the finals in this competition, and he's going to stoke it. And as Jackie said, he's going to try to force others to come his way or concede that part of the electorate to him.
And by the way, last week, he made a fascinating statement. He went after the quote Fortune 500 companies in this country. I mean, it's one thing to push the field right, but he's going directly at the business community. You talk about creating fissures in the Republican coalition, John. I mean, that's a strike to the heart right there.
And that's a hangover from 2014. Mitch McConnell said, you know, I'm going to crush the Tea Party, and the business community came in and helped him crush the Tea Party largely.
But it's also, I mean, in a sense, it's the populism of somebody like Ted Cruz recognizing that the anger at Wall Street, the anger at big corporations cuts across ideology. It is not simply Elizabeth Warren's part of the Democratic Party. It is much broader than that.
And yet you can see with Pence that the amount of power the business community still yields. I don't think Mike Pence would have done what he did if the business community hadn't been so upset
He was not
and exerted
responding to the
so much
protests from the
pressure.
Which only
LGBT.
inflames the grassroots more and gives that Cruz argument more credence. You
I
know?
think the question is going to be, can the business community won this fight? Can they win the larger fight over the primary, get their candidate
And if the
into
Republican,
the
but
presidency?
if the Republican Party talks about this throughout the primary season, and they don't change that number about being viewed as tolerant, can they win a general election?
Very difficult. Very difficult.
Right.